All right. Well, it's an exciting time for Fremantle. We're hosting the Australian Cruise Industry Conference for this Saturday when they beat Gold Coast, so it's all happening. Now, the other thing that's happening today, an important announcement, that we are going to have a major cruise ship home ported here in Fremantle in the 27-28 summer cruise season. The Sapphire Princess will be home ported. The Sapphire Princess will be home ported here in Fremantle. It'll make its base here and it'll be cruising up and down the West Australian coast at our range of beautiful ports up and down the coast. This is going to have a substantial impact on the West Australian economy, an investment, we think, an impact of about $142 million. It's going to support more than 1,000 jobs. But it also is part of our government's intention, our ambition to grow the economy, to diversify the West Australian economy and to make tourism a major part of that diversification. We live in a beautiful part of the world. And look at Fremantle, for instance, the historic port here, which is unique. We have amazing landscapes in the Kimberley, right down through the Midwest and the Southwest and the South Coast. There is so much to see and enjoy in Western Australia. We want to share it with tourists from around the world, and we know the importance of the cruise line industry. It's becoming more and more popular. Thousands of people are hopping on ships. We want them to hop on ships in Western Australia and enjoy our beautiful part of the world. Now, this cruise liner, the Sapphire Princess, will have 3,200 guests on board. So imagine the tourism impact of that liner pulling into a port like at Broome or Albany, and the impact on the local business community, the local tourism operators, local businesses and cafes. This is a significant boost for West Australian tourism, but it's also a significant boost for tourism across regional Western Australia, and it's great to have a cruise liner ported, home ported, calling Fremantle home once again for an important cruise season in 27-28. So with that, my very good friend here would like to tell you more about the exciting news. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Hi. We have Matthew Rutherford from the Princess Cruises, the Vice President for Asia Pacific.
Thank you, Michael. Step
Yeah,
forward.
you have to spell out your last name.
It's Rutherford, Rutherford. Oh, well, it's great to be here. Good morning to everyone. And as the Minister said, we're very excited that our Sapphire Princess, will be calling WA home in 2027. Princess Cruises is the only premium large ship cruise line calling at WA, and we're very proud to bring over $140 million of economic benefit to the Western Australian economy, not just to the Perth, but also to regional WA, including the beautiful destinations we visit up and down the Western Australian coast. I'd like to thank the Minister and Western Australian Government and Tourism WA for their support to get this deployment to happen. It's very complicated to cruise in WA, and we couldn't have done it without their support. And to finish, we're very excited to bring thousands of cruise passengers from all around the world to cruise this beautiful state of Western Australia. Thank you.
Any questions for Matthew?
No, this is the first time that Cruises will have a home base in WA.
We've been coming on and off since 2008. We've bought 4 ships in the past, but we haven't based a ship here since 2019-20 season.
How many cruises in that season do you expect from Sapphire?
We're still working through the details, but we'll be announcing that in November this year, the program that we will
And the
launch.
commitments for the one season at the moment?
At the moment, that's the current season we're working on and publishing.
There's been a lot of talk about this terminal. Like, is there enough infrastructure in Fremantle to be able to support that number of passengers?
Yeah, the Fremantle Port have been excellent partners and finding ways to accommodate the ships, and we have absolute confidence we can deliver a really positive experience to our guests.
Will there need to be infrastructure upgrades before the season starts?
There's always ongoing infrastructure upgrades, a few minor things, but I think we're in a good shape to be able to deliver a really positive cruise season. We already bring ships to WA. We've got a ship coming in October, already calling it Fremantle, so we know how to deliver cruises in WA.
What's the uptake been like? Are you still experiencing continued
interest in passengers coming on board since COVID? Like, has it positively trended up?
Yeah, I mean, cruising is booming globally, and it's in WA. We've been bringing cruise ships from the east coast, and we're seeing really good demand for people wanting to cruise to WA.
Matthew Wise, Sapphire, the right ship to base Fremantle.
Sapphire Princess is a medium-sized cruise ship. It can get into all the great destinations of Western Australia. It'll be coming down from Asia, and it's available. It's big. Perth is quite close to Asia, and it's a great opportunity for us to bring the ship in that way.
What are some of the amenities on board?
There's 17 restaurants, 5 pools, but you also get the great princess experience, the great princess service, food, the premium princess experience that guests love in Australia.
When you drop guests off in Fremantle, when the ships pull in, do you have concerns about the barrier of the railway? I mean, there's been promises made to fix that, but nothing's happened yet.
No, I'm not aware of that being an issue for us when we bring guests here.
I'll ask.
We also have Jill Abel from the Australian Cruise Association, the CEO, to say a few words about the conference.
Hi, Jill Abel, spelled A-B-E-L, and I'm the CEO of the Australian Cruise Association. So we're absolutely thrilled that Princess is making this announcement. The home porting piece is so important in that economic piece because we just know the additional opportunities that come with that. So the supply chain piece is something that we've been working all around Australia in terms of the cruise lines picking up local produce, and we know that there's enormous opportunities for Perth, surrounds and WA in that local produce piece. But we also recognise Princess's ability to bring international guests into Western Australia, not just visiting Perth, but dispersing them all around the regions up and down the coast. So we're absolutely thrilled with the announcement and know that this destination in WA and all of its port calls will really embrace Princess, and I hope that the locals here will also see a wonderful opportunity to get to go cruising in their own coastline as well.
How does WA stack up compared to other states? Are we a small cruising state compared to other states?
So the eastern seaboard's obviously been the key driver of cruise for some time, but part of our mission with the ACA is to make sure that the whole of Australia benefits from cruise, and the opportunities in the circumnavigation piece with many of the cruise lines doing all around Australia, but developing all our areas. You know, the Kimberley here is such an iconic piece in the expedition, but there's so many other parts of Western Australia and of the coast and the southern coast that can be explored as well.
Obviously, we're talking about Princess today. Do you hope this kind of paves the way for other premium cruise lines to come to?
Absolutely, and we know the port here has got the capacity to welcome many more, and so we'll definitely be pushing those opportunities and exploring that.
Sorry, Minister?
Yeah, question, Minister.
Can I just say one thing? This is a very competitive global industry, so to secure a ship like the Sapphire Princess is a big deal, and it shows that Western Australia has a lot to offer. In the 23-24 season, we had 300 ship visits to our 10 ports. We had an income impact on our economy of more than $380 million, and it supported 1,200 jobs. So this is a good industry to be looking at to expand, and there's huge potential here. Amazing things you can see in Western Australia you won't see anywhere else. We know about swimming with whale sharks, our southwest beaches and wineries, the great southern coast, the amazing Kimberley. There's a real attraction here that we can offer a lot that can't be enjoyed anywhere else on the planet.
When you say it's competitive, taxpayers have to pay to...
No. This is we are supporting the cruise industry in terms of investment in infrastructure. So you mentioned the infrastructure here at the port. Yes, we're investing in the berthing and the deck facilities, about $35.5 million. Up in Broome, there's been a major investment up there, in Dampier, all along those regional ports. We make sure that they're able to accommodate the ships.
You mentioned the $35 million investment. I think I'm reading here an article that says $40 million in upgrades to the Frio.
I think. I think there's some investment in the facilities for the ferry link to Rottnest. That's another investment we've made as well.
the entrance though. I mean, I think a couple of years ago they were talking about fixing it. It's pretty rubbishy.
Oh, Jeff.
Well, you can't connect to Fremantle. You can't walk over without going over a rickety
Jeff,
old rail.
I think, look, Jeff, Fremantle is a working port. People come for an authentic experience, so I think they understand it's a working environment. It is an old and historic town, but Fremantle just won the #1 tourist destination in Australia. You look around. I think often if you live here, you see the issues rather than the attractions. So have a look at the amazing architecture. Fremantle is a museum piece in many ways. It's retained all of that colonial architecture. I was going to say, there's a few museum pieces who live here, Jeffrey.
But you have to cross that railway to get to the museum pieces.
I'll address that. Look, it is true. There's some development work going on along there, and yes, when visitors arrive, there's some images there that can be better. But look, Fremantle, I think, is on the cusp of a historic regeneration. There's big investment interest in Fremantle. This is an amazing place. You know, think of its location in relation to Perth. Think of what it has to offer. You know, when tourists come here, they are truly impressed. So yes, we need to do some work, and we'll be working with the council to clean up some of those areas that come into view. And there's development work going on that will be completed. Some of that will be completed by the time the Sapphire Princess makes home here. But look, I think, we have so much to be proud of in Fremantle. It's an outstanding, unique place to visit, and it's an authentic working port.
Do you think a bit of a shuttle bus would be a good idea for sometimes
Yeah, well look, the good thing about Fremantle is it easy access, it's walkable, you're going to see a lot of attractions, but of course connecting to the rest of the city with our rail station, we have a modern efficient transport service across Perth, and I think there are issues in those regional towns where we need transportation and bus services and charter services, for example at Albany and other areas, so we are obviously looking at that. We need to make sure that when a ship pulls up, there's the infrastructure and facilities that make sure people have a good time.
So you're looking at it, but why not, if you're looking at growing the cruise ship industry, why not just put the money into it? Why not improve the amenity of the entrance at Fremantle? Why not put that money in at Albany? Why was that?
Well, we are. All around Western Australia, there are millions of dollars being invested in marine infrastructure at our ports to enable these ships to visit. There is investment, private and government, in Fremantle. We're spending a lot of money down at the port with our B-Shed initiative, where there's investment in infrastructure probably you won't see, but it's necessary to make sure that ships can berth safely. So that investment is going on.
Just on another port, the Fremantle Industries Council has a report out today that the Fremantle Bulk Jetty is costing $70 million in fees for importers because of delays. Isn't that an area that you should be focused on?
Yes, and we are. We have a longer term solution there with the new outer harbour, and there'll be a new bulk handling terminal as part of that, and that'll be the first stage of the Westport development. But look, those things, we're going to make sure we do our investigation and study and planning right. This is major infrastructure that's going to be serving the community for 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years possibly. So we need to get it right. We can't rush that. But yes, we're talking to the Kwinana Industries Council. We understand the concerns, and it is a priority for a new bulk handling terminal as part of Westport.
Just on the Morley fire, why did DFES and the Police Commissioner say it was suspicious? And then the Police Commissioner said, we know it's suspicious, we have CCTV footage indicating that it is suspicious and that Arson Squad are on the hunt for those responsible, but then later in the afternoon, not suspicious? What changed that?
Oh, look, I think we have to understand that, our first responders are dealing with a lot of unknowns when they go to a major incident like that. I understand that there was initially some very early viewing of some CCTV footage, which needed further investigation, but the inference that early investigators got was that it was suspicious. But then on further investigation of that vision, they realised that there was not an issue there. I think there was I'll tell you what the issue was. It was a reflection from a passing vehicle that threw light on the building. And initially that was thought to represent the flash of a Molotov cocktail. So look, investigators are human. They make a preliminary assumption of what they see. They do further investigation. They realised there was an explanation for that flash of light. It was a reflection of a car windscreen, and so they've gone further and made sure that their analysis is correct. But what they're saying now is they don't believe there are any suspicious circumstances.
Custody notification data showing that the over-policing of First Nations people being arrested in WA compared to other states is much higher. For example, in 2024, ALS data shows there was 40,000 arrests in WA compared to 32,000 in New South Wales. Lawyers and advocates say it's over-policing in WA. Is that the case?
Oh look, this is I talked about this the other day. This is a long-term societal social issue. There are members of our community who are dealing with prolonged generational trauma, who find themselves in situations in terms of being impacted by alcohol and domestic violence, who come into contact with police. These are very serious, complex and long-term issues. I think our police do a very good job. It's not easy, and they try to do the best they can. They don't always get it right, but we are investing records amounts in dealing with family and domestic violence. There's record amounts of investment in police resourcing, in getting more police out there. But I think our police are I think our police are the most professional in the country. It's not an easy job, it's a very tough job, but I think they do the best they can. Do they get it right every time? No, they don't. But I think we can be very proud of their efforts and in terms of keeping us safe.
Why the discrepancy in this data? Do you think First Nations people are committing more crimes in WA than other states, or are police over-policing?
Look, I just think there are social issues, societal issues that exist right around the country, including in Western Australia. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to give you a detailed analysis of that. But what I do know in terms of the government and our investment in these issues has been unequalled. We continue to invest. We continue to make sure police have resources. We continue to make sure there are resources in community for people facing very complex issues.
I'll put it this way, the ALS has said there's systemic racism in the police force in WA leading to this data. Do you accept that?
No, I don't. I don't.
When do you expect the Port of Broome to be granted first point of entry status?
Yeah, look, that's very important, and it actually opens up enormous opportunities for cruise liners operating in Western Australia. So it means they can come from Southeast Asia with many international tourists on board. They can land at Broome and be cleared as a first point of entry, and then that allows those international tourists to visit the rest of the West Australian ports because they've gone through that process. So it's very important. This is an issue for the federal government, obviously. And we're going to take that issue up with the federal government. Now, I can't give you a time frame on that because it is not our government's decision, but there is strong advocacy coming from the industry, and I'll be making sure that the federal government is aware of the issue. I think they already are, but I want to impress upon them we need to do this, and we need to do it as soon as we can.
The ABC published footage yesterday morning.
Back on the policing issue, we've seen recently the CCC are investigating police in Kalgoorlie.
Yes.
For an arrest there. We saw a police officer laughing at a deputy in custody. Does that not fly in the face of what you've said today?
Well, no, what it confirms is that police don't always get it right, and some police get it very wrong. Now, what we heard on that what we heard on that audio was very inappropriate. And that officer has been stood down, and there is an investigation underway, and that's appropriate. I've seen the vision you're talking about, and the Commissioner himself, I believe, has said that there are concerns about the force with the push of that gentleman, and I think an officer has been reprimanded accordingly, and there is an investigation, I believe, underway into that matter as well. So look, it brings me no joy to see those issues. And when police get it wrong, they suffer the consequences. They're called to account. And we have a very tough commissioner in that regard. He doesn't tolerate those sorts of things. So, look, we have 7,300 police officers throughout the state working around the clock, doing a very tough job, putting their lives on the line every single day. Inevitably, there's going to be issues that arise where they're confronted with dangerous situations. They have often a split second to make a decision and deal with it. And sometimes, on rare occasions, and you always hear about it, they get it wrong, and as a result, they are reprimanded or stood down, and there's an investigation. So I don't think you can categorise an entire force of men and women because of the actions of a few.
How much damage do you think it does the public's perception of police?
Look, I think it's not good, but I think overall the WA Police has a very high reputation in this state. I think the vast majority of the public support police and really do support them in a big way. And this is borne out in terms of inquiries. When police go to ask for public information, there's always much more cooperation that comes forward in Western Australia than, for instance, in other states, because there is this high level of trust in our police force.
Minister, just on from that though, sorry, like the Triple C found that the shoving was excessive, but the tasering was justified.
Yes.
How can that be when the shoving kind of somewhat led to the tasering? Well,
that's correct. The tasering was found to be justified, and but the shoving was found to be excessive. I don't know that it's as easy to categorise it as the way you have in terms of the sequence of events. Experiences from passengers, the 3,200 passengers on the new home-ported vessel are going to have amazing experiences. They're going to tell their friends, so that'll be good. But look, we as a state are very motivated in terms of promoting Western Australia as a destination. We're in international markets, we'll continue to do that. The other thing we're doing in Western Australia, we're having amazing events here. Big sporting events, big cultural events. And that's putting us on the map as well. So the more people see Western Australia, the more we put the state on the map with big destination experiences, the more people are going to want to come here.
Minister, a lot's been made from the industry about regulation and particularly costs.
Yeah.
And we've seen the effect of that with several lines pulling out of Australia in recent years. Is that being addressed at a state level, particularly with port costs and charges?
Look, I'm not aware. I'm aware of a situation in New Zealand with port costs. I'm not aware that we have anything like that happening in Western Australia or Australia generally. But we'll always keep an eye on that. We obviously there needs to be a fair value charge for services. But in terms of other operating costs, I know we're going to be taking the issue further with the federal government in terms of how they can have an impact on those costs as well. We understand that it is a globally competitive industry. There are only so many ships, and those ships can easily go somewhere else. The fact that they are coming here, and the fact that there is interest in Fremantle and Western Australia shows that we've got a lot to offer, and it's a value proposition.
Minister, do you think that the government, federal government, understands, in your opinion, the impact of the high operating cost in Australia for crews?
Yeah, look. I think they do, but I think we're going to remind them of that. I think tourism ministers from around the country are going to make sure that message is heard. So we'll be doing all we can to make sure they understand.
Last couple of questions. Very quickly on the issue.
Sorry, Ivan.
On the issue of a few months ago, you did write a letter to a young who did protest outside, raising wagering. I think perhaps the major question is that does the police have powers to prosecute racing and wagering officials who may have, I suppose, a bit of industrial wrongdoing and also allegations of corruption cover-up?
Ivan, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. I'm not minister for racing anymore.
But you did roll a letter to you.
Yeah, look, I can follow up separately, Ivan, because I really not across the details.
A big week for Freo?
Yes.
Game this weekend?
Yes. Yep, so look, I've noticed the signs all through Freo supporting the Dockers. I'm a long-suffering Dockers tragic. I've been a member for plus 20 years. I've lost count of the number of times that I've been hopeful of a flag Maybe it's going to be this year. Maybe it's this year. We'll find out, if they're going to stay in the competition on Saturday night. I'm going to be there, whatever the weather conditions are. But look, it's a good time. I mean, Fremantle, all this is coming together this week. We've got the conference, which is the announcement today of a cruise liner home ported here. We've got the award for recognising Fremantle as the top tourism town in Australia. So I think it's only fair we get the trifecta in on Saturday.
Budget estimates have shown that cases of DV that police have had to respond to rose from 63,000 to about 80,000.
Yeah.
Are you concerned with such a large spike in just 1 year?
I think it's a good thing when more family and domestic violence is reported. Now, overall, crime rates have reduced in Western Australia. The overall crime rate from 2016 to now is lower. But we're seeing an increase in the reports of family and domestic violence. And that's because we've had an unprecedented focus by police on this issue, more resources going into it, more abilities to report it, more investment in the sector to support families fleeing domestic violence. And I think that has an impact in encouraging more and more people to come forward to report incidents. So I think the Police Commissioner shares my view on that. He wants more and more reporting of family and domestic violence because we know for far too long it's been kept hidden and women have been too afraid to come forward. So the more the better.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, all right. Thanks, guys.